child was born. A child was born, created by a mother and a father. The newly mother and father never talked about marriage. They didn't plan to have a child. Nonetheless, they did the deed. Their child was born. A child was born not to a husband and a wife. A child was born not to a father and a mother. A child was born to a boy and a girl. A boy that wasn't ready for fatherhood. A girl that wasn't ready for motherhood. Nonetheless, this child was born. This child was born to a father who ran the streets, unable to keep a job, in and out of jail, unable or not willing to take care of his responsibilities. This child was born to a boy not fit to be called a father. A child was born. This child was born to a girl struggling for greatness, while reminded of her weaknesses. She puts her trust in boys that call themselves men. She allows them to take care of her, provide for her, but at what cost? These boys that call themselves men talked down to her, told her she was worthless. She lost her self-esteem. She no longer knew her self-worth. They abused her verbally, physically, and emotionally. A mother no longer fit to be called a mother drowns her problems away with the use of drugs. This child now growing up without father, without mother, yet never alone. This child was moved from home to home, family member to family member, wishing that one day that mother, that father will step up and be just that, a mother, a father, and no longer a boy and a girl. One day the father came to visit his child. This child was so happy. The child felt as if it no longer had a boy for a father but a man. The child played with its father, went shopping with its father. The child loved its father until betrayed by its father. A father's betrayal that can never be forgotten, abused by its father. The child is now growing, wishing that its mother becomes a mother. As the child gets older, the mother is ready to resume responsibilities. The mother is no longer just a mother. She is now a wife to a man that demands all of her attention. A man that lets her child know from the start that he is number one in its mother's life, and the child is second. The child doesn't believe in his new stepfather. The child believes in his mother. The child believes all is right with the world until one day the child sees a burnt spoon in the sink, empty baby food bottles and empty pink shell casings, signs that a child should not be aware of. This child's mother was back on drugs. The child's mother's attention did not go to her husband. This child's mother's attention did not go to the child. The child's mother's attention went to drugs. Her husband's attention went to the child. Again, this child was abused by his father and later abused by his stepfather. This child was not born to a mother and a father, but to a boy and a girl. This child grew up not knowing how to properly love, how to properly trust. This child grew up with hate in his heart, taken from his mother. The child moved from relatives surrounded by love. From a child to a teenager, unable to trust, unable to love. This child, now a teenager, was showered with love. Little by little, this child's guard would chip away. Now living with relatives, the child felt as if it had a mother and its aunt, a father and its uncle, and brothers and its cousins. The child grew, developing into a teenager, notices a change in how her uncle looks at her. No longer did he look at her as a father did a child, but how a man looks at a woman. The looks turned into verbal compliments. Verbal compliments turned into inappropriate touching. This child, now a teenager, shattered. Full of hurt and rage, unable to trust, unable to love, buries herself in school. Education in her mind was the only way out. She takes every class she can, joins every club and organization she can, all to keep her away from home. Determined to be successful, joins the military. Determined to get as far away as possible, never to look back. She doesn't follow in her mother's footsteps. She doesn't follow in her father's footsteps. She is determined to do better, be better, yet she doesn't know how. Her education brings her success. Unable to let her past go, her success means nothing. Hurting people around her, friends and family, she isolates herself. Unhappy, ready to give up and die, she swallows 30 pills and passes out. She awakes in the hospital. So many people around her puzzled, not knowing her past, wondering why she would try to take her own life. Little do they know it wasn't her first attempt, it was her third. Just like the other attempts before, she hears a whisper, "It's not your time." I opened my Bible that night, Hebrews 7, 3rd verse. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made life unto the Son of God, abideth the priest. Matthew 6, verse 14 through 15. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father. Philippians 4, 13th verse. I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. I learned how to forgive. I learned how to love. I learned how to trust, not in man, but in God. I know from experience, friends will let you down. Family will let you down. Everything I went through as a child was for a reason, God's reason. I am no longer that child that doesn't know how to love or trust. I am no longer that adult that believes death is my only option. No, you see, I am a child of God. I will tell my story to all that will listen because I am alive. I have nothing but love in my heart. I have let go. I have let God. I am blessed to say I have a mother who has been drug-free for many years. She has grown from a girl to a woman. God touched her as he touched me years ago. I have forgiveness in my heart for my mother. Forgiveness in my heart for my father. Forgiveness in my heart for my stepfather. Forgiveness in my heart for my uncle. I trust and love the Lord with all my heart and soul. There are people out there with similar stories or even worse. This is for you. You are not alone. This is for that boy who thinks the only thing he is good at is selling drugs on the streets. Baby boy, you are worth so much more. Step out on faith. Know that you are not alone. It is your time to become a man. Become a man. This is for that girl that puts her trust in men, allowing them to talk down to her. Baby girl, you are worth so much more. Step out on faith. Know you are not alone. It is your time to become a woman. This is for that boy or girl selling themselves sexually on the streets. You are worth so much more. Step out on faith. You are not alone. This is for that boy or that girl, that man, that woman struggling with their sexuality. You are not worthless. You are not alone. John 3:16. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. All of us that believe, no matter whether you're homosexual or heterosexual, regardless of your race, white, black, Asian, or Mexican, etc., we are all part of that whosoever. So trust and believe, then let go and let God. My message to you. 31 years ago, a child was born to a boy and a girl. That child grew up to become a child of